Welcome back to Toys on Tap. This week is an incredible week with Kaleo Legends coming on. They've got a new toy line that they've been working on that launches on Kickstarter very soon. They have a background in nonprofit work, and then they moved to Mezco Toyz before deciding to do their own. So this week is going to be great. They're talking about all kinds of things. It's a spiritual toy line, and we love to see it. We love to see different takes on existing things. It's really incredible. If you want more Toys on Tap, you can like, follow, rate, review wherever you get podcasts. It's free for you. It means the world for us. Leave a review. We would love to see what you have to say about this show. 5 stars would be amazing. If you want to follow what we're doing on all socials at Toys on Tap, that's where you can find us. And just to let everyone know, we have shut down the Patreon. We decided that it was too much to upkeep both and try to figure out what goes on the Patreon, how we can do more content. So we're just going to push out through here. We're really excited about that move. If you still want to support the show in a meaningful way, shoot us a DM. By the time this episode airs, we are getting back from Collecticon, and we will do videos and talk through the show and all kinds of stuff. Now let's get to this week's episode of Toys on Tap. Dude, I'm pumped that you came on. You guys are working on a project that sounds super sick.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk all kinds of things about how you even got to this point. So just like every other episode, please introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what you do.
All right. My name is Jeff Lees. I am the owner and creative director, art director at Kaleo Legends. We're doing some really bizarre things, if we're being honest. The first thing is that we're doing biblically inspired characters. Now, for anybody that has spent any time in the Christian world with toys, you're going to know pretty quickly that there are none, especially like for the collectors markets. Like everything's like the little the little people or whatever that's like for toddlers. That's like the only stuff that's out there. Your big porcelain figures that your grandma has on the fireplace of Jesus. And so like what we are aiming to do kind of as a Christian company, as like we are inspired by biblical stories, but we like the really weird stuff. And so kind of where we are in all this is like we want to tell the stories of like, you know, the angels and the demons and the conflict that's there and the supernatural side of it. But again, we're not traditional about it. We're doing a very different angle on all of this. And so we don't have like angels with the big white wings. We're doing something very different in this space. And a lot of it plays out, which is like how the characters look. And so we're doing like in a biblical worldview, it's the idea of like a glorified body. You know, so the belief is like when you die, you get this perfected body. And so we want to ask the question, like, what does that look like? Like, how do we actually design around that idea? And so our characters are these biblically inspired angels, demons, or the Elohim. And they look more human, but it's like their skin is armor instead of it like being armor that they put on. And so it's this really kind of like we've been compared to like Aeon Flux or like Rain, which is still kind of that same art style. There's a lot of skin that's being shown, and everything's like really elongated, like very Evangelion. So yeah, it's like we're not doing something very traditional. Like we're in that weird space. Like we're reading Enoch. We're taking that kind of content, and we're taking like first and second temple Judaism, and we're compiling stories and narratives around that. And so that's the space that we're playing in right now.
Yeah, that's rad. I've always had a dream of doing a Kickstarter where I bring in and it's fully surrounded about or around the 375 Star Wars vibe, Kenner vibe of Jesus. Because like those toys don't exist out there. All of them are really dumb. And D13 has some insane sculpts and all what they've got going on.
I've talked to those guys a little bit. Like I've talked to Chris, like he's kind of the mind behind it. And so even with his stuff, it's like, I like his stuff. Don't get me wrong. I think it's fantastic, but it's all very Catholic. And so like, I don't have an issue with Catholicism, but we're doing so that's still very traditional Catholic like this would fit very much in that world, in that mindset, where we are kind of going the other end of like we're doing something that's like more fantasy, more like we want to. So the other kind of phrasing that we use is like, so you have like Lord of the Rings or the Narnia series that's like 75% fantasy and 25% theology. We want
Mm,
to kind of flip that and do like, no, the 75% is theology, but we want to introduce that like 25% of fantasy. And so we're
yeah.
bringing in a lot of the weird stuff that's out there. We want to bring a lot of that in, like stuff that's, the Catholics or regular Christians are going to be like, I don't know about that. But it's one of those like, we want to kind of bridge that gap between the two worlds. We want to tell this narrative, but we want to stay true to, kind of what the scriptures say and bring those two worlds together.
Yeah, there's a similarity there in the movie Noah that came out that
Yeah.
everyone thought was based solely on the Bible, but it's based on a comic book by a French
Yeah.
author and
Right.
illustrator. And they had fun like glimmers of like, oh, this is the story of Noah, but also there's these giant like rock people and
Right.
weird tornadoes. And that was really fun. That was a fun
That
take.
was. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, that movie is so far off from like the biblical narrative. But like, I sat down and I watched that movie and I'm like, listen, this is not, I would not take this into like a Bible study, or I would not preach this from a pulpit.
Yeah.
But I would 100% have a conversation with an atheist in a coffee shop. Like, did you see this movie? You need to check this one out. Like, this is a great starting point for a conversation piece.
Yeah. Okay. But before we get to any of that stuff, I need you to walk me back to childhood, because you have toys that, in looking back at like 90s and 80s cartoons and stuff, these toys don't really hold the same vibe as those shows and cartoons or toys. Like, it's something
Yeah.
new. So it's like, are you informing what you're creating now by those? Like, tell me about growing up. Tell me the things you're playing with, the toys, the shows you're watching, all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh man. So for me growing up, it was nothing but GI Joes. Like your standard was like 3¼ GI Joes with the O-ring in the middle. That was my world.
Yeah.
Like I had so many of those things, and I was as I have found out as I've gotten more involved with the toy community, like I thought I was like one of the only people that, like, would take them apart and like make my own GI Joe out of like a different arm from this dude, and then like Snake Eyes over here, and then different legs on them. Like, so I was like making my own GI Joes, and apparently that's like a regular thing within the customization community, which just cracks me up. But like that's what I really grew up with, was like the GI Joes. And I always had this thought of like, I would love to make toys. Like when I see the Masters of the Universe with Dolph Lundgren, like I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I want like the little Centurion guys. I want GI Joe type characters like that. And it's one of those, like, the toys that I always wanted never really existed. And so like what I was watching as I got a little bit older, like I started watching like more anime, and that was kind of that was like a short stint, because like I grew up on a farm. Like we had 3 channels growing up, and so anime was a luxury when I could find it. But I got really hooked on Ronin Warriors.
Yeah.
That was one that just kind of rocked my whole world, where it's just like, wow, this is something very unique and very different. And it had that Power Rangers vibe, but it was a cartoon and it was samurais. And I'm like, this is cool. I really, really like this. So then all growing up, I always had a pencil in my hand. I was always drawing. I was always creating, designing something, designing characters. Like that was where I really kind of I just wanted to design people all the time. So that kind of played forward into high school. Like I was most artistic in my high school. I got a scholarship to go to Columbus College of Art and Design. And while I was there, I'm like, dude, I want to make video games. But that's where I want to go. I want to do concept art. I want to do character design for video games. And that just didn't really pan out the way that I hoped it to, which, there are so many artists that are like, I want to make games, and it never pans out, unfortunately. However, I was fortunate enough that I had some really, really close friends that they were successful. And so as kind of time went on and I'm struggling as an artist, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. I just was just kind of in this like depression. Just I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. I became a minister. Like I became a youth minister. I did that for 12
Mm,
years. And then it just again came to that point of like I don't fit within a traditional church mindset. I really struggle in that place, and so it's one of those. If I'm not really geared to be a minister, I don't deal with politics and the bureaucracy stuff very well. So what am I? Maybe I should go back to trying to be an artist. And so I reached out to some of those friends that I went to college with, and one of them had an access point into the toy industry, working for Mezco. And so I was actually able to get on at Mezco as one of their prototypers, with the shop that's here in Columbus. And so I got brought on there, and that just opened my eyes to the toy industry and how much fun that space really could be. And so
yeah.
I was at Mezco for 2 years. Like these Ninja Turtles right here, the awesome 112 collective turtles. Like I worked on those. Like I did all the painting on those guys. And so it's just hilarious that like they're all over the place. But yeah, it's like Mezco was one of those like it just opened everything up to me. And then it's from there it's
Yeah.
I think I can do this on my own. And so here we are launching into it, and I'm trying to figure it out as we go.
Yeah, I mean that's rad. The hard part, right? Like at the beginning, interest in art and stuff before you
Yeah.
go into youth ministry. It did you just leave it behind or try to keep it up while doing the other thing as well?
It was always a passion. And
Hmm.
so it was I'd always ask like the senior minister, like, hey, can I do like the graphics for the slide this Sunday? So it's like just doing like little bits of graphic design here and there, just trying to keep up with it, just so I don't get too rusty because it's always been a passion. And so like I was always drawing or doodling or like my desktop is just full of like little pen doodles. And
Hmm.
it's like, I don't know, it's always that kind of, it's always in me. It was always there. It was always just like just below the surface. And so I would try to, like I said, do graphics for the church and do like logos and banners. And I'm like, I just need to kind of keep the skill set there and kind of try to keep it as fresh as I can. But ultimately, I may never actually work as an artist. Is kind of where my mentality was. It's you know
Yeah.
I'm skilled in this area that I can do just enough to make things look cool, but yeah, it's kind of I'm leaving it behind as a career option because I don't think I have it in me, or I don't think I'm good enough to actually do it as a career. Like
Yeah.
that's where my head had gone.
Tell me about that first transition out of church work and working for Mezco, because the dynamic is it is a night and day shift of
Yeah.
what you do on a day-to-day basis, especially if you work with teenagers versus working with adults everywhere.
Right. Right.
And then switching like the mission statement, like the
Mhm.
values, everything shifts. Like, tell
Yes.
me about that shift.
Man, that shift, it wasn't nearly as hard as you think it would be.
Right.
But I think a lot of that was I was desperate I was desperate for community, because I just wasn't getting it at the church that we were at. It's like I felt like I was an island most of the time. It's like the youth group was always like second or third options for people to talk to or talk about. And so it was always like the youth, the high school and the college age group that I was overseeing, like we were always kind of those are the guys in the back. And so to me, I longed just to be able to sit down and talk with other adults, with artists, with people that had the same mentality I did, whether they were Christians or not. But I want to sit down with artists. I want to talk
Yeah.
to them, like, because no one in this space that I'm working in understands how my brain works. And
Yeah.
it was exhausting. And so it was that transition of leaving that and then getting an interview at Mezco. First off, I was floored that they even
Yeah.
called me back. It was 100% because of my friend, like giving me a shout out and said, "Hey, you need to go check this guy out. You need to actually have him in, talk to him, and just see what he's about." So to me, that was that was massive that my friend would stick his neck out for me like that. But then like sitting down with Josh, who's the guy who runs the shop, talking with him, it was such a breath of fresh air because it was an artist to artist. Like he had gone to Columbus College of Art and Design too. And so we had this immediate common ground that I knew how to talk to this guy. I knew the kind of, we understood the same verbiage. We understood the art speak. And it was just one of those, I'm like, I really hope this works out because this is the space that I really, really want to be in because these guys are amazing already and I don't even know them. And so then I got really nervous because then Josh said, he's like, listen, personality wise, you'd fit in great here. But I need you to come in for a skills test. I need to make sure that you are able to actually do the things that you say you can do. So I'm like, great, let's do it. I am so rusty, but I will do everything that I possibly can. So the skill test is supposed to be Monday to Friday. I come in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. By Wednesday afternoon, I'm packing up, getting ready to leave. And Josh is like, listen, I don't think there's any reason for you to continue with this skills test. You are clearly like, you are good enough that if you want the job, it's yours. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I've never been that happy. Like it was a long, long time since I was bouncing off the walls. I was just excited. So I'm like, I actually have a chance to do art as a career. And I kind of just thought like that wasn't going to happen. And so for Josh to kind of step out and say like, listen, like you have the skill set, you have the personality. The only thing you're lacking is the experience. The experience we can get you. So it's like for all the things that you're lacking, give me 3 months and we'll have you caught up.
Dude.
And I thought there's no way this is real. There's no way. But
it really is about who you know. It sure is because like leaving, I can't tell, like leaving church work, you have to rework that resume into something that it's not, right? Like something that doesn't fit in normal capacities until you find something that will just offer a chance. And it's an interesting dynamic to be in.
Yes. I just needed that one person to just say, hey, I know you're lacking experience, but we'll get you trained. So how about you just come try, man? So like, and I understand like how lucky I am in that space because there's so many artists out there that don't have that contact. And so that's one of those like, that is something like for our studio, that is something that like I strive to do is like, if I hear someone that is an artist and they're struggling, like I want to help. And so like the girl that's doing a lot of that's helping out with the painting, like she and I kind of split the painting stuff about 50-50. And so she was in that side, like where she was coming from, like traditional painting, just like canvas painting, trying to figure out how to sell her work. And like, it was just stonewalled everywhere she went. And so I told her, I'm like, you know how to use a paintbrush. So instead of doing it on a really big canvas, let's narrow it down to like a 7-inch action figure and let's see what you can do. And she, like, again, like me, she was just ecstatic that she could actually do art and make money doing it. And so like, I want to be able to reach out to other artists and give them that opportunity that they think that will never come. Like I absolutely want that.
Yeah. I eventually like, that's the move. I mean, full disclosure, I left church work in January and, did it for 15 plus years. It was cool. I have 2 degrees in it. A master's and a bachelor's. Left, never going back because you see parts of it that you don't want to be a part of, and you see things that you like. It's rough, and then being in a spot where it's like, what am I like? I know that I want to do this. How do I make my resume of all the, I mean, luckily systems is what I love doing, right? So it's like, how do I create pipelines and systems and build leaders and volunteers and find sponsors? Like all of those things work, but on paper, they're not the same. And so, just through luck about who I knew and being connected, I found work in a field that's closer to where I'm headed, but not exactly where I want to be. And I couldn't be more stoked to be in that.
Yeah. All right, so let me ask you, like, what is your end goal? Like, you have this great, Toys on Tap is fantastic. Like, I've
Yeah.
binged a bunch of the episodes now. Like, now that I found
Don't
you
do
guys,
that.
like,
Don't. That's too much.
it's right. But it's like, so what? You have this great system going on right now. So what?
Yeah.
What is your end game then?
I mean, full production and creativity studio, right? Like we have 5 years of interviews under us, at which everyone is allowed to be plugged into. Everyone is like, no one is cut off from this. I don't care how small you are. I don't care how big you are. Some people get, because of their size of their career, they get 5 episodes. Some people get 3 episodes.
Right.
Some people were just really good friends and they've been on 5 times, and their career is not that giant, but they're just
Yeah.
people that I absolutely adore. And so I mean, full blown, what this looks like outside of that is like podcast releases every week, YouTube docuseries that start to come out more frequently. We did a couple with Mark Nagata, and it was something that I loved doing. Like, we're in production now. Like, I just got toys right before this interview. I got 2 new colorways of the Kaiju Claw, so we're pumped about that.
Nice. Nice.
And working with other artists to make sure that their work comes to life, and walking people through the Kickstarter process, because like, we love Kickstarter. We've done 2 of them. They've been successful. Yeah, I don't know. Like, as a creativity hub, it's something that I love doing. And so the goal is to eventually produce something in every medium that I can, so that I have the ability to figure out ways, right? So it starts as small as like stickers, and then it goes to like shirts, and then it goes to resin toys, or like mold making, and then it goes to like soft vinyl, and now I've started to learn sculpting so that I like can figure that out as well.
Nice.
So I don't know that I have an answer, because I keep unintentionally moving the goalpost, right?
Sure.
When I started this, I didn't think 5 years was going to happen. I didn't think that we would have 7,500 like followers. I didn't think that we would be on YouTube. And so every time it's happened, I forget to say thank you and like functionally be in it, and like then plan new goals. Instead, what I do is like, we hit 7,500. How do I get to 10,000? Like, I just keep moving, right? And tabling is fun. I know that there's people that hate it and they think it's exhausting. It's like, I'm a hyper extrovert. Tabling is unbelievable. Like, I don't know how to just, like, it's just nonstop people that want to talk to you about the things that you do. They don't care about anything else but what you do.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Yeah, so like last year we just started hitting conferences and conventions last year. Our very first one, we went to Legions Con, because Four Horsemen helped us with our sculpting. So full disclosure with them, like, they did the sculpting, and we've done like some tweaking here and there, just as the parts are coming off the printer. We're like, it's not quite what we need it to be. So I've got a guy that he does our sculpting for us. He's absolutely amazing at it. But yeah, so like the first convention was Legions Con, and that was one of those, like, I sat there for like probably like 30 to 45 minutes. Just I didn't know what to do. Like, and I'm an extrovert. Like I like you, like, I'm an extreme extrovert. Like, I put me in a room with 100 people, I will talk to 100 people before the night's over. But it's in that space where I'm like, I'm confined behind my table. I have to try to interact with the people as they're walking past in front of us. I'm like, I've got to figure this out. I've got to figure this process out. But then it's, as you get like the first 2 or 3 people, as they're kind of walking by, they give you a glance, and then you immediately like, hey, no, how you doing? How's it going? And then you're off to the races. And it's like that idea, like standing behind a table, like you said, and talking to people as they're coming by, and all they care about is the toy. They just care about the thing that you're making. And like that conversation just takes off. And like, as an extrovert, I was exhausted by the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun. Like the conventions and conferences are just so much fun.
Yeah, it is cool. I do love it. So we get to the point, you leave, you start working at Mezco. After 2 years, you stop working at Mezco and take the leap into doing your own.
Yes.
Now, I do have a question, right? I'm a very, very big proponent at following your dreams, but I'm
Yeah.
very pragmatic in how I do it. So, like Toys on Tap, I would love to do it full time. It's not full time capable yet, so I have to
Sure.
always do something along the way. How did you jump into we're done here and immediately pivoting and we're doing this?
So this is another side of, call it divine intervention or
Hmm.
just blind luck. Now I had mentioned earlier that I grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
Grew up on a farm in Ohio. Ohio is a hotbed right now for Intel, Microsoft, like all these big dogs that are wanting to build data centers. We were one of the beneficiaries of one of those purchases. And so my family sold 250 acres to
Jeez.
one of these larger companies.
Yeah.
And at that point, my brother and I were both like, what is our dream? Let's go. Let's try to figure out and make our dreams happen. And so
Yeah.
we were able to take a portion of that sale and put it toward. So for what I'm doing, like my brother and I are doing two different things, but for what I'm doing, it's we basically took seed money, set it aside, and we
Mhm.
basically said like, hey, we've got 3 years to make this work. After 3 years, if it's not working, we're going to pivot to something else. But we were able to take that seed money and put it toward getting printers, getting a shop, getting things set up so we can make the best run at this as we possibly can. So again, call it divine intervention, call it blind luck, whatever you want to call it. Like we were, again, just kind of in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah. I mean, call it whatever you want. I mean, rad is what it is. Like
Yeah.
you get a runway to run with this thing.
Yes.
Which is incredible. Getting hooked into like Four Horsemen is incredible sculpting team.
Yes.
And production. And I mean, they're hiring right now. If you're listening to this, they're hiring now. Go work with them.
They're great people. You won't regret that. They're fantastic people.
I only know one of them in passing, and not even George Gaspar. I don't know anything other than like we've shook hands and said hi. But
Right.
I know that he's plugged in with like Dove at DKE, and that's I think how I know him. I mean that's amazing. You're getting a leg up in an industry that if you don't have a leg up or a desire to do anything it takes, this is going to be hard. And you're like, especially going into action figures, which probably one of the most expensive things to make when it comes to toys.
Yes.
Molds are insane.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
As we're getting quotes back for mold costs, it's kind of,
oh yeah.
Man.
10, 15, 20, 30, 40,000. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane the numbers that we're getting back, and it's actually caused us to kind of pause.
Yeah.
The original designs that we actually had like these 10-inch characters that were like, dude, this is exactly what we want. This is awesome. And then it's like, as we were getting pricing back on the molds, we're like, duh, we can't do that. Like that's because that was going to push our Kickstarter up to like 300K almost. And we're like, there are no Kickstarters that are running that for toys, man. Like we can't do that. We've got to rework these things.
You know, Cryptoids just hit 350, which was insanity.
That was bonkers.
Yeah. Great sculpts, great team. SWAT Cats Toy Adjacent hit, I think, in the 400s. So I mean,
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, Four Horsemen did extremely well. I think it is possible, right? Like but we're talking this. It's got to be a good sculpt. It's got to be a good story. It's got to be a good team. Your advertising has to be huge. So I think you're right in pausing. Like I love that you paused and we're like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So I mean, take me to the cusp of. You're talking with your brother and you decide you want to do something and make toys.
Yeah.
Which means you're now just throwing things at the wall. How do you land on Kaleo? How do you land on kind of like religious iconography and toys? How do we land on that?
So, as I had mentioned before, going to CCAD, like I wanted to do game design. Like that was that was my original thought, character design, all that. So at some point I started designing these angels and demon type characters. It was like back in 2008 that like I started designing these characters and thinking like we're gonna make this like Diablo-esque kind of a game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just kind of I need a team, I need people helping me on this. And it was just one of the like nobody really wanted to work on it. Nobody wanted to kind of step in, and like I couldn't pay anybody, which was a huge factor in that.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to design a game based around this idea, have it be a little more theologically sound than Diablo, but still that same kind of idea, that isometric kind of a thing. And it was, I don't know, it's just so I had designed these characters. I've had these types of characters for, like I said, since 2008, 2009. Always thought they'd be in a video game, and then I get into ministry and they just get pushed to the back of the closet, basically.
Yeah.
And so then the opportunity comes up like, hey, we can create toys. Like I want to get into this arena. And it's the idea of doing like a religious toy or like the Christian market. That was first off, if I'm going to leave Mezco, but I want to do toys, maybe I should go work for a Christian toy company. Like that was my first line of thought, of like, maybe I should go over here and work for a Christian toy company. I was digging for like 3 weeks, could not find a single Christian toy company, like anywhere. No one is doing it. Like D13 was the only one that really popped up, and even they're like a niche within the niche, you know. So I'm like, even that's not really what I'm looking for. And so it was again, it goes back to that one of the first things I said, like the toy that I want doesn't exist. So if I want that toy, I need to go make it. I need to do the thing. And so that was, again, that whole combination of like, there's no one really doing Christian action figures. I've already got these like angelic characters kind of designed. I can retool these things and make them more efficient or a little bit better for an action figure. And so it was all right, let's take some of these designs from back in 2008 and let's rework these things and make them a little bit better than what they were and make them more functional as a toy. And we'll just roll the dice and see if it works, see what we can do in that space.
Yeah. I think that, cause it's an uphill battle, right? Like,
yeah,
to have something, I'm trying to, I don't know how to say this other than how I'm going to say it. So track with me.
Fair enough. Okay.
To have something that already exists and then to say, I want to do a Christian version of this is a very hard uphill battle that you take on because, I mean, for a big part of human history, Christians have been kind of awful to people, and
that's fair. Yeah.
And so now we're in this spot where it's like, no, but this is going to be cool. Like, we want to see it. So you have to fight like this middle ground. What is because you've already been at some conventions and this is not like you've been like posting about these toys and doing stuff. What do you find that the reception is? Do you find that there is a little bit of pushback or that people are just on board with what's going on?
So between the two conventions last year, so we did Legions Con, and then we went to a just straight up Christian convention. Like it was for like missionaries, like they are. So out of those two groups, I'm like, if there's going to be a group that doesn't like what we're doing, it's going to be at the Christian conference.
Yeah, it's going to be the stodgy ones. Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, okay, let's measure Legions Con. Let's see what kind of response we get from there. And then we're going to completely forget that because we're probably going to get something different over here.
Cool.
Legions Con, no, very secular group for the most part. Like there were a few Christians or religious folks that were in there, but across the board at Legions Con, people were like, I love these things. Can I buy them now? Yeah. It was across the board, like so positive in that space. And so like, we are like riding high on that. Like, dude, we've got something, like people are excited about it, that they kind of see past the religious side of it and they just like the figures. They just like how the toys look. And so it's a positive reception across the board. Fantastic. So then we go to the Christian convention. It was called ICOM, it's International Conference on Missions. So we go to this conference, and it's 4 times larger. Like, we're talking several thousand people coming through this conference hall.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, here we go. If this is going to be the crowd that doesn't like it, this is where we're going to find them. It was unanimously, people wanted those things right now.
Yeah.
Like, they were that same group. Out of all the people that we talked to over those 3 days, there were only 2 couples that came to us, and they were skeptical until they were able to have this conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, as what they saw, it didn't match with what they had in their head of what these things should look like. But after having a dialogue and understanding where we are coming from, then their perspective changed to, instead of it being I don't know about this, it turned to, please keep me informed to when I can get these.
Cool.
So yeah, it's been like across the board, like, people have been really excited about these, whether it's for the Christian aspect of it, or just the fact that these things look cool. They are very different from most figures that are out there. And so there are those groups of people that like the Christian side of it, like the religious side, but also just think like, hey, I would love to have a really cool toy that's like an angel based toy on my shelf. So we're able to play in both arenas a little bit, I think.
Yeah. I mean, and those arenas aren't always separated, but I mean, when you go to, it's just not something I see in being at like Designer Con and stuff, and going to Collected Con this coming weekend. Maybe it exists there. I don't know. I don't see it,
Right.
But maybe. That's cool. That's a good middle ground to be in. I think the sculpt on the toys is great because it's a good sculpt. And so it kind of pushes past some stuff. So you're getting ready to do this, which the sculpts feel like, have you heard of the show Love, Death and Robots?
Oh yes. Yeah.
So it feels like it would be an episode on there with a storyline that is different than what you would think the storyline is going to be. But they have a vibe because they you know what they are, they just feel different, and I like that. I think I've seen somewhere where there are other lines planned following this line, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
so you have the main ones, right? I think you have Michael or Mikhail, Jesus, Enoch. Do you have Gabriel?
Not yet.
Are there, so in the first run, is there 5?
There's 5, yes.
Okay.
So we have Yeshua, or the Jesus character.
Yeah.
Michael, Samael, Azrael, and Enoch, who is also Metatron.
I like Metatron. And then going into the next one, I can't remember where I saw it. It might have been on your website or Instagram or something, but it was, we're moving into mythology as one of the future ones, which is a, like when you pull, like when you go to a Christian conference, you then take it from, these are toys for, like, these are Christian toys. So now it's like, these are toys of the gods. Like, it shifts it a little bit, right?
So it does, but it shouldn't.
Oh, okay.
Here's what I mean by that. When you look at the history of like the Old Testament, and you look at the ancient Jewish people, and this is where that word Elohim really comes into play, because in English we translate that to gods, or God. It's like the word deer. So it's deer or deer. It's singular or plural depending on what comes in front of it. So the word Elohim can be singular or plural.
Yeah.
But that word is used often to talk about the other gods of the other nations. And that word is also used to describe the God of the Bible. And so you have this idea that Yahweh is Elohim, but there are no Elohim like Yahweh. And so you have this, it's the same idea of who Jesus is. Like, Jesus is man, but there is no man like Jesus.
Yeah.
And so it's this idea like the gods exist, the Elohim exist, but none of them are like Yahweh. He is the God most high, as he is described in the Bible. And so we get in that space, and then like when you especially look at Exodus, leading up to like Moses being taken out of and the Israelites being taken out of Egypt. Leading up to that, Moses has his whole burning bush moments where he's talking to God in the spirit. And in that moment, the God says to Moses, I'm going to go and I'm going to lay waste to the gods of Egypt. And so it's the idea that like the other gods exist. It's just they're masquerading as greater gods than what they actually are.
Mm.
And so we're taking this idea, like these other mythologies all have a beginning point, that they are these lesser Elohim, and they're just taking worship on for themselves and masquerading as something greater than they are. And so we want to bring that entire narrative and that all these other mythologies under a biblical umbrella and say, like, these things exist. We should be aware based on our own Bible that these things exist. This is not polytheism. This is simple, like these are Elohim. These are the ancient agents within the supernatural world, if you will, or the unseen realm, whatever you want to call it, that they exist. And so if they exist, we're going to talk about them, because again, we're going to get into the weird stuff. We want to be in the weird space. And so for like the second wave of characters we have planned, we want to get into the Egyptian side of it.
Yeah.
And so it's the idea that if the gods are real and the God Most High created them, then at some point they were loyal to him. And if that's the case, what were they doing while they were loyal? What were their roles? What were their functions?
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to tell the stories of like how some of these gods would have fallen or may have fallen, and how they went into rebellion and then started taking on worship themselves. And again, bringing it back under that umbrella of it's okay to play in this space. This is not pagan. This is not polytheism. This is the ancient worldview. This is how an ancient Israelite would have thought about these things. Or like how ancient Mesopotamia and the other Semitic cultures, like this is how they would have thought about all this. It's not polytheism. They just understand that these things exist.
Yeah. I mean, you're tapping into something in which I love to dabble in. This is like theology is a fun thing to dabble in and play with and make people feel a little uncomfortable with, which for many years, I like these old Christians that have a weird mindset. I've messed with them for a long time. And
Absolutely. Yes.
I think that it's like, you're dabbling in something that's crazy, which I love, because we have stuff like the Enuma Elish, which is the Babylonian creation story that comes thousands of years before we even have what we would call Genesis, or the creation story. Through
Correct.
Genesis, we have a reference to other gods. Through Exodus, we have references to other gods.
Yep.
Moses uses plagues. Here is the crazy thing. If that stuff is real, right? Like if this is something we believe, then we have to understand that Moses uses plagues that deliberately connect to the gods of Egypt. And each one of them has something. And then he makes reference to other gods several times. And this, like ancient Israel and the ancient Near East, most of them are polytheistic, right?
Yes.
Like we see this in the references. We see this in history. We see that there was a God that did everything. And my favorite thing is whenever scripture happens and it's like Yahweh calling someone, he doesn't say, leave your other gods. He just says, like, follow me though.
Yep.
And there's this fun thing that you're playing with that I think it'll do a couple things, right? Like if it's not explained well, it's going to gather some hate, but if it's explained well, you get to kind of dabble in this fun, muddy water that we've created. And you get to play with themes of like, at some point the Babylonians overtake the Israelites, which means their God is better. And you have to play that out somehow. And it's such a fun like thing. And you have to like have these guys like Tiamat and Marduk, and they're fighting and being in I don't know. You're doing something cool. And I love that there's potential for some crazy havoc to come from this, some amazing open-mindedness. I like the idea of both.
So, and we're playing again that weird space. Like the Bible mentions dragons.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the creation account. The sea creatures, the Tanin in Hebrew is like the dragons, the chaos monsters, like that's part of it. We want to play with that too. Like we want to design something around in that space. But then also the one that I'm especially excited about is we have so many stories from mythologies and other, god narratives of the gods fighting giants.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm so excited because like we have giants planned. Like we want to do like a Gilgamesh. We want to do like Yair from that's Jewish mythology. I think that's either Jewish or Celtic. I can't remember which one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting my giants confused. But like we have a list of 42 characters we want to do in this space.
Yeah, 42 is a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
It is, and it's like, man, we could have so much fun in this space. We really, really could have just a tremendous amount of fun and bring a lot of people along for the ride.
That is cool. Are the giants going to be bigger than the other figures that you have?
Yes.
Cool. I liked that when the Marvel Legends Retro 375 scale, when they brought out the Sentinel, it was like giant versus the little
huge
ones. It was perfect. That's cool. I mean, I'm all for it. So you guys decide to do this. You come up with character designs. You were kind of working with the sculpt. Place me somewhere in the timeline of when this is happening, when the idea that it's going to come to life, when prototype. I mean, where are we in this timeline?
So I'll say the production timeline, we have all of the sculpts done.
Mm-hmm.
We have all of the sculpts printed. We have 2 that we are finishing up painting, which should be this week, next week. And then it's just a matter of like, we hit the conference tour. Like in October, in May, we are going to the Geek Meet Indie.
Great.
That'll be the first show for this year that we get to. And then we've got a pretty long gap. And then when we get into the fall, we've got 4 that we're hitting in the fall. And those are massive conventions. Like we are hoping to get back to Legions Con. We have our ticket in. We're just waiting for the confirmation from those guys that we're back in. But it's like, as far as the production side of it, we're ramping up for a Kickstarter.
Cool.
Or if somebody just wants to throw a donation at us and we just forego Kickstarter, that'd be great too.
Yeah.
Like I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to it at all. So we are ramping up for a Kickstarter. We were hoping to launch a Kickstarter in May. That was our goal this year. Is like, we want to launch this thing in May, like that first full week to be right in it. There is a slight hiccup with that, which is, it's actually not our fault this time. So when I started the company, we had a different name for the company.
Okay.
So we started going, we were in the process of getting trademarks and getting all that stuff, all the legal stuff established. And we ran into a problem with a company in China that already had the name of the company, which was very bizarre because the original name was Zealous Designs. And there's a Chinese company called Zealous Designs. They're making like toddler tools, like the little, like, so like super cool little tools.
Yeah.
So like I had my lawyer reach out to them and just be like, hey, no, we're in the toy space, but we're on 2 different sides of the arena. Like, would you be willing to work with us on the trademark? Like, there's no infringement going on. Would you be willing to allow us to use the trademark as well?
Mm-hmm.
And they flat out like, no, not happening.
Yeah.
So it's like,
partnering with an American company is tough.
Right. So it's like, okay, so we'll change the name of the company, which Kaleo Legends was the company. So my brother and I tried to start a company years and years ago. And that was the name that we had landed on for that. Like, we were trying to do comic books and all this other fun stuff. And so I called my brother. I'm like, hey, do you have any hang up with me using Kaleo? He's like, nope, it's yours. Take it. So I'm like, okay. So we moved forward. We took Kaleo. I changed the name through the state of Ohio. But at no point was I told that I needed to also go through the IRS to have them officially change the name of the company.
Yeah.
I figured changing it with the state of Ohio, that would just transfer. That's not the case. So anybody out there that has gone through this, check with the IRS. You're going to sit on the phone for an hour and a half, but do your due diligence on this.
Yeah.
So as we were ramping up to get like the Kickstarter landing page up and going, we had to submit our EIN number, our tax paperwork. and what I had like it's I forget what the name of the form is called, but it has the company name and the EIN number that's associated with it. The only document I had was Zealous Designs associated with that EIN number.
Mm.
So when I tried to go through Kickstarter, I'm like, it's the same EIN number. They're probably going to kick it back, but let's see if they do. So sure enough, I submitted the paperwork, and they're like, hey, these things don't match. No, we need to have it's a 143C confirmation letter from the IRS. And so I finally got all that paperwork submitted to the IRS, and then it's like a 60-day waiting period.
Yeah.
And so like within that 60-day period, like we are basically halfway through May. I'm like, okay, we're going to postpone the Kickstarter. Like this is not going to we're too close on deadlines here. And so then it became all right, so when's the next best time to push a Kickstarter through? And then that's when these other conferences started to pop up again in the fall. Like, I don't know, that feels like we ought to go then and push the Kickstarter into the fall, because we're going to be hitting all these conferences like across the US for like a month and a half while the Kickstarter is going. So it's like that feels a little bit better, that we should probably go that route.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot going on. It almost sounds like it would have been easier just to shut down the company, start a new one. Holy moly.
My brother mentioned that. He's like, dude, just start over. I'm like, no, I like Kaleo, and I've got t-shirts with Kaleo on them. Like, I can't reset again. Like, I just can't do that.
Holy moly. So you're well into the process. So that means like Kickstarter goals are coming. All right, here's the question. What are we looking to raise on Kickstarter?
So what we are hoping to raise, we are right around that 150K.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's kind of the magic number. We have some people that are interested in making investments to kind of bring that number down. Okay. But those are kind of like the angel investors. So we're talking like having to possibly give up some equity or some ownership of the company in order to do some of this. So we're like, yeah, let's hold off and get like solid numbers back. And if we get too far beyond that, then we'll talk to some of these guys a little more seriously. But 150 is that number that we're kind of thinking like that's where we're going to be. That's where we want to stay, is at 150 mark.
And that includes the 5 figures?
That will include the 5, yes.
I mean, are you willing to drop it down to 2 figures and then a stretch goal is like the next figure?
I would be willing to do that if the numbers are coming back. That's going to be a smarter way to go about it. Yeah. Yes, I am very willing to do that.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, my goal in talking with people about Kickstarters is like, how do we not give away our company? How do we work smarter, not harder? How do we like functionally make this work and viable for everyone? Because you have these moments, these scary horror stories like Huck G, where he like gets $270,000 and then can't produce anything. And then you have like people who made the goal and then all of a sudden they're a year, 2, 3 years past their deadline. And it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Yeah. Now for like the guys because I know Legendary just had, not just like their Kickstarter was successful a long time ago, like 2 years. And now like they're just now getting to the point that like we're receiving the outcome of that. Like we're finally getting figures from them. And it's, if I may, from what I heard, don't quote me on it because it could be wrong. But I heard it like it's always based on the factories. And it was the same thing like working at Mezco. Like we would ship stuff to the factories and then we wouldn't see it again for a year and a half. And so it's like, we can work as fast as possible and make as much stuff as possible, but we are completely at the whim of however fast the factories want to go. Yeah. No, and it's like there are still things that I pre-ordered from Mezco that are like, I don't know that I'm ever going to see these things, but here we are. Yeah,
I think that there's ways around it, right? Like if we're open and honest with our deadline date and we say this will ship Q4 2027, like give your like crazy runtime, or if people are, if you're just communicative the whole way,
Yeah.
people start to like understand and be there. But yeah, there's times where people don't give updates for like 6 months, and then they give an update and they're like, finally got prototypes back. It's like, what are you doing? What are you
Right.
doing here? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like that is something that I want to get better at, especially like
Yeah.
on Instagram, of like making sure that we're communicating with everybody about like where we are, the pushbacks that we've had to do with Kickstarter, and just like, hey, this is where we are. This is just a part of running a business. Unfortunately, it's
Yeah.
we're new to this, and so we've made mistakes along the way. Luckily, we are in a position that's we have startup money, and so like it's not crippling for us to have to start over on some of these things, whereas for other people it would be.
Yeah.
But it's like, again, like let's be honest, let's communicate these things, and just flat out like, hey, no, we messed up, we made a mistake, we're going to make this better. Just bear with us a little, like give us some patience, give us some grace here. We're new to this. For all you collectors that have been out collecting for 20 years, listen, we're just now getting into this. Like we're only 2 years in, so we're going to make mistakes along the way, but just be patient with us, because what we will put out will be something that you haven't seen before, at least not to some capacity.
Right. With so next steps, I mean, it really is just waiting for the IRS at this point.
Yes,
Okay.
that's seriously, I am waiting on that letter from the IRS.
Yeah.
Once the letter hits, I'm telling you, the day that it hits, we are launching the landing page for the Kickstarter. Like we have all the graphics, we have everything ready. I just need that one document for Kickstarter to say, yes, you're approved, and that landing page is up and going. So that's we are waiting on that, and that's the only thing holding us back right now.
I mean, it's a big thing, but I'm glad that you guys are doing it the right way. I'm pumped to see what happens. I mean, so the 4 conventions you guys are going to this year,
Yes.
the end of the year, Legions, what are the other 3?
So we have 5. So
Okay.
in May we have the Geek Meet Indie.
Cool.
Then going into fall, we have one in October that it's massive, but it's a Christian conference that's in Spokane, Washington. That is it's the Be Bold for Jesus, which someone needs to work on naming conventions with these companies.
Yeah.
But that it's this thing. So this conference, I had never heard of this conference until like 2 weeks ago. Last year, they had like 10,000 people at this conference. They like had Tim Tebow talking, and Jeff Foxworthy was doing a bit. And it's like, okay, so this is a pretty big conference.
Yeah.
So I randomly sent them an application like, hey, I'd be interested in coming. I'm like, dude, I'm a small fish with these people. Like, there's no way that they're going to call me back. Well, lo and behold, they set up a meeting with me, and it was a half-hour meeting. Within 10 minutes of that meeting starting, the guy that was doing the interview was like, yeah, you should really be at this conference. So that's the October 2nd and 3rd, I think, is when that one is. Like I said, that's in Spokane. And then we have Legions Con. Then we have another Christian conference that we're going to. We're going back to the ICOM conference that we did last year. And then I'm forgetting one. Oh, then we were actually invited to the Christian Game Developers Conference that's in Orlando, Florida, the same weekend of Legions Con. So I'm going to Legions Con, and I'm taking my sculptor with me, and then I'm sending 2 of my friends to Orlando to do their thing. That like they're 2 gamers, like that is their space way more than it is mine.
Yeah.
And so I'm sending them down there. I'm like, I got you guys a hotel. We're sending you guys down there, set up, do your thing, talk to everybody you can. But yeah, so we were invited to that one. So it's 2 toy conventions, and then 2 big like Christian exclusive conventions, and then a gaming convention that, again, we're not really making a game, but this is also kind of our target audience. So I feel like it's probably a good idea to get to that one.
Dude, that all sounds incredible. It's going to be a busy year.
Yeah. Yes, it will. I would love to get to more toy conventions. They have posed to be hard to get into because I'm always late to the show of
Yep.
like, hey, like I want to get a booth. Like, dude, we sold out 3 weeks ago. Like, well,
Yeah.
I just now saw it. So
I would say the ones to the big ones that I mean might be good are C2E2, that's closer to you.
I don't know that one.
Collecticon is I mean Collecticon is out here this time, but they might go back to Chicago.
Okay.
DesignerCon is in Vegas. And they opened up a second one this summer back in Pasadena where they started, which is rad.
Nice.
You got Monster Palooza, which is, it's horror adjacent, but like toys are really there, and if you keep going, then the giants and the demons are gonna do well there.
Yeah.
Toylanta just happened, and that's pretty cool.
I tried to get into that one. That was one I got locked out of. I was
Yeah.
just too late to the game on that one.
Yeah, there's other ones. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. But yeah, they're cool. They're cool conventions, and it just depends on what the outcome is. I mean, it's there's probably a way for you to get into DesignerCon in November if you want to add another one to your fall calendar. Like
I
reach
would
out to
love
someone.
to.
Uh-huh.
I would love to. I'm not sure my wife and kids would let me though.
It's a lot. I mean, it's fun. I think DesignerCon is the most fun as like
Okay.
a hub. And then I like from there this year we went from doing only one last year to like 4 or 5 this year. So that's
Yeah.
always going to be the hub, and then I'll branch out from there. But yeah, I think you have a cool thing where it's like you're going to these, you're able to go to toy shows and then also the badly named conferences.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think that's cool. I think you're hitting multiple markets, which is going to be super helpful with the Kickstarter as well.
Yeah.
The last part of the podcast is really just plugging away how people can get in touch, where they can find you, what's going on, website stuff, all that good stuff. So please plug away.
All right. So Instagram is going to be the easiest way to get a hold of us. That's Kaleo, Kaleo _legends. The website, it's under construction, I'll say. But I will have the shop up and everything on the website. And that's kaleolegends.toys, not .com or .co. It's .toys. Yeah, so like just reach out to us on Instagram. Like I love talking to the fans. I love talking, obviously. I just love talking. Yeah, just reach out, like chat with us. If you are at the shows, like come find us. It's the big hand here is like this is our logo. Like we got a big banner with it on. So come find us, come chat with us. But yeah, Instagram is gonna be the best way to find us right now. We're also on Facebook. I don't venture out there too often, but we are out there. We are posting there. So yeah, that's gonna be the best way to find us right now.
Heck yeah. Dude, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on Toys on Tap.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, man.